and it's Tuesday the 18th of December, and it's a Tuesday in Durban, South Africa. I've built on the chipping and pitching practice from Monday. I've actually gone to the coach Steve Cottingham at the driving range at the Mount Edgecombe facility. Very different setup. Obviously it's across the road from the main gates, and the best part of the facility is you actually have these hitting bays which have a very good surface to them. All hitting bays obviously come with decent balls, decent chipping and practice facility with green. It's all looking very good at the moment. Obviously a lot of refurbishments and some upgrades have been made to the facility. At the end of the day, you're going to have all different types of traffic, especially non-golfers, non-members using the facility. But really the biggest reason I was there today was to see Steve. I haven't seen Steve for a while. He wanted to know exactly what I wanted to work on. I didn't really have anything in particular, so he pulled out the 6-iron and said, well, let's hit a few full shots. And he's always been very good with the process. He identified obviously the height, the trajectory of the full swing. He has been working on a lot of setup issues and grip issues, and he did point out that the grip has been moving somewhat as I maybe am quick to pull on the swing. There's subtle things that I need to address. I've got a drill that I need to do. If you consider the full swing and its parts, you have your setup, you address the ball, you have your takeaway, you also have your transition on the top, then you've got your obviously the forward swing, the contact, and then you've got the follow through. So my area that we have been working pretty hard over the last 2 seasons has been the takeaway. It used to be very minimal in terms of hip rotation and shoulder rotation. There's been obviously some fundamentals that we're missing, and in golf the most important setup and alignment that you have to get right is obviously keeping a very good grip pressure and grip setup, especially with the irons. And I think for me, I have been getting by with very good ball striking, but at the end of the day he did see that when he put the tape on the face of the 6-iron, and he also took the leading edge, just looking at how much of a descending blow I give the launch angle. That has always been there, and we've managed it. So obviously I took a lot out of the lesson. Just there was a drill where obviously I manipulate my full stance and actually try and get the full hip rotation, because that's leading to me actually being a little bit quick on the transition, and actually that does impact the ball striking, and I can get away with much better outcomes if I focus on the hip rotation on the setup. And then he just noticed with the chipping, which I've just done a whole bunch of time into the chipping, I have moved away from the left hand being really important from a fundamental perspective. I needed him to remind me of how I do a chip, with the actual the tension that you're supposed to have when you extend through the left arm. And that was a very good way for me to sort of tie in what I did yesterday. I have been on the flop shot improvement and getting better sand saves, but he was referring more from actually doing a pitch where you keep obviously almost a mini swing within a bigger swing, and that is very useful just from putting time into working on the technique and getting the technicals right. So very happy to have that type of feedback. And then he was considering the year ahead, the calendar year. We're looking at a lot of competitions and a lot of tournaments locally, and playing into windy conditions, and obviously having the greens the way they are here at the coastal courses. This is all part of why I've obviously considered the membership, where I'm looking at the year ahead, very essential, because now we're going to actually get more weekly feedback, weekly analysis, just with regards to what I've actually gone out and done, what have I actually worked on. And as you know, with this experiment of the podcasting, it's revealing the stats and how they actually play out under pressure. And he would probably also agree that the short game is something that you could really get more confidence out of, and that could lead to confidence with some of the results on the scorecard. And I think that's really, I needed to hear that also from him. He's not just technically sound, but he's also very good with expectation levels and controlling the management of your golf, whatever your goals and objectives might be. I think he's very on board and very in sync with my goals. And I think Steve also just has my best interests with regards to competing within myself, and not always letting certain distractions and obstacles keep the development down. So very happy to get that type of feedback today. I was very keen to put in some extra practice after that, but I'm going to have to call it a half day. I have quite a lot to get done, but the amount of balls that I've hit in the warm-up, obviously just during the lesson, I do generally like to reflect on the images in my head. Just as soon as he introduced one of his longer shafts and a proper equipment fitting, I could see the difference in the ball flight just from the little video analysis and interchange that we had. So getting that information, I always value it, and I put it into almost like the leads bank of ideas for the future. I like to get drills that sort of cover one or two areas, but I think at the end of the day, the drill that you recommended today was obviously for now highly important compared to some other drills. Other drills fix the path at the release, but here we're just talking about one aspect of the takeaway, the sequence of the hip rotation, and I completely understand why he recommended the drill. And in how I'm going to incorporate that into moving forward, I mean, if this is, and I have considered this round 5, this actual session with the swing coach, it's not to go and drill just this, just that. It's taking this information, inserting it into different areas of how I could include it for the times that I need to actually put in a good score. And I think at the end of the day, just to go, for example, to practice facility 1, do the chipping fundamentals he's mentioned. So the left hand has to be my lead indicator with the feedback that he gave today. And then if I'm hitting into the nets, manipulating the stance the way he did so that I had the necessary hip rotation, that is important. I could do that for 10 minutes before my Thursday round, and I think that's all part of obviously growing as a player, improving your handicap, but also just doing the right things that sharpen your game and get the right cue. I generally like to get myself into a better state of mind before I go out and hit balls, but at the end of the day, I'm realizing that I have to trust the ball intelligence it's deep down in all of us. You just have to give your body the amount of time to process the information, and you'll be pretty surprised when in moments where you can actually just be one, with your surroundings. It actually can surface. It can find itself coming through in an expression. But very happy to spend some time with Steve. I think he's very busy as a coach. He's got all types of different players to deal with. He's got competitive golfers, he's got social golfers, he's also got people that just want to improve, from a hobby, recreational point of view. So it must be difficult for someone like him, who's very skilled in instruction and program planning. He's got to be very patient. I think at the end of the day, he's in a sport that is very difficult. There's so many movements and so many parts that are moving with regards to, it's a difficult game for some that probably won't give it the attention that it deserves. So you've got to be a special type of person to work with different types of people, but I know his reasons are to bring the best out of everyone, and I think he does that pretty well with me. So that's the end of the session. Looking forward to round number 6, where it'll probably be a twilight golf after work, and looking forward to Thursday, as it's once again it's the weekly goals that are coming through that I noticed with the journal and the podcast. It gives me an affirmation of where it really makes a lot of sense to make a stroke gained here. This is on the field, this is within the score. So the main thing I took out of today is I need to speak to the golf director at the club. He's interested in doing some on-course analysis. I think that is where I probably need another periphery of the eye, not just from a range or swing coach perspective. I'm going to get a perspective on the course, what decisions being made, because decisions can be made quite quickly and prematurely, and I think I fall into that category. Lots of management on the course. That's going to take probably longer to develop that aspect of golf rather than just the technical. And I'm going to have to consider the fact that the shafts and the equipment modifications are coming up. They're coming up soon. I'm probably going to move from stiff to extra stiff. That's pretty clear. I've also got to just consider everything in its entirety, because we're talking about investments into the game, and you can actually really fall short with a deficit of a membership and the amount of times that you want to actually compete, but then the equipment is a parallel universe that runs with that. So I need to still work out when that's going to be and how that's going to work itself out. I know the Golfers Club is probably where I would want to actually put in a long-term view in that equipment modification strategy. I also do think, especially with the short game, I need to commit to Titleist ball or the Bridgestone ball, just to also have practice facilities down, maybe with a certain type of ball, and not just get used to all types of balls. But from the lesson today, and just a touch up, just watch the grip. The grip does move, it gets a bit strong. I must keep grip pressure slight. Then also the hip rotation sets up the shoulder rotation, gets me on the top, gets the transition right. And that's me for today. It's Tuesday, the 18th of December, signing out.